How to win a Magic Online MTGO PTQ here with Sean Pottinger. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing quite well, man. How are you?
Very good. And I'm excited to talk with you because you just qualified via online for your seventh Pro Tour. You're going to Pro Tour Sydney from Australia, going from one island to another.
From
And
Hawaii.
from Hawaii, yeah.
Yeah.
And Sean, we go back. I remember. I'm not sure if we played. I remember seeing you at qualifiers. I remember seeing you at a JSS qualifier at GP Seattle in 2004 and thinking, "Wow, this kid is serious." Uh,
Yes.
to
So
travel for that.
the story behind that tournament was it was my last year of being eligible for the JSS, and I lost in the top four of the only JSS qualifier we had on the
Uh,
island. So I was like looking at other ways to qualify, and there was a qualifier at GP Seattle. So a friend of mine won the GPT, and the two of us went down. Played in the GP, which was fun. You guys actually helped me out a whole lot for that tournament. You let me borrow cards. You
I
actually
don't
let me
remember.
borrow my entire deck.
I don't remember that at all. But
You came to me and you were like, "We're looking for Rishodon ports." And I was like, "Well, I have these ports, but I was going to play them in this deck that I'm not too excited about." And you guys were like, "Well, can we like swap you?" And I was like, "Well, if you can get me an entire Psychotog deck,
oh
you can
yeah,
use my
okay,
Rishodon ports."
sure.
And
We
then you
weren't
guys
playing.
just handed me an entire Psychotog
That
deck.
might have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the crazy thing is like, okay, this kid travels from Seattle, Hawaii to Seattle for a JSS qualifier, and some people would be like, what a waste of money, or he's spoiled or something. But then you beat me in the playing for top eight of junior nationals, and that had crazy prize payout. You
Oh
beat
yeah.
me, and I got 2 grand just outside of top eight. So I don't know if you got 5 grand or whatever. So it's like that was a
Yeah,
good that was
I
a good
came in
investment.
fourth. Oh,
Right.
for sure,
That
for
was a
sure.
good investment. Yeah, like JSS was
Well,
that was
and
crazy money.
the qualifiers, like just winning a qualifier, that won me $500, right? So
Yeah,
winning the
yeah.
qualifier paid for my plane ticket almost. So there is just value everywhere in the JSS, and I can honestly say that the JSS like lit the fire for me to
Oh
want to play
man,
competitive Magic.
I have a lot of emotions. Those were some good times. I do remember crying after losing that match
Oh
because I
man,
was in second place. I mean, this is nationals, right? I was in second place going with 2 rounds left, and I lost them both. I'm
that's pretty heartbreaking.
I didn't think I could draw. I thought I had to win just one of the two. And those was a good match, though. I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah, those are some good. So I mean, we have some history, and that's cool.
for
And it's
sure.
cool seeing you continue to play. And I mean, a lot of you guys don't know Sean, but hey, 7 Pro Tours is good. I played in 6, so there you go. I mean, you're about to pass me in attempts here.
Yeah,
So you recently qualified through Magic Online, and I thought that would be interesting to talk about because I know someone here is listening, and they're in the middle of nowhere, and they have maybe one PTQ a year, and they're like, I really want to qualify. I'm gonna try playing on Magic Online, but I mean, my impression, and I think everyone would agree, it's just the hardest possible way to qualify. And in
yeah.
terms of,
I would agree. This was the hardest PTQ that I've ever won.
yeah, so why are they the hardest? For one, there's no PTQ RTQ system. There's, I
There
mean,
is sort of.
how many players are in those? Like it used to be
Um,
200, 300 players, one slot winner. 500, I remember 500 person MTGO PTQs. Like,
yeah, so they used to be set up that way where they would regularly get like 6 to 900
yeah,
players.
what? And by
Uh,
the way, like the best players, there'd be pros playing in them. Really good technical players.
oh yeah,
And you can't draw. And I mean, there's people that are like, there's like teams playing. There is some cheating going on from that way. Um, on the other
sure.
side, like I mean, or like ringers will play for other people. So you just don't know who you're playing. You don't know if you're playing. You never know if you're playing against a team of pros or not.
Yeah, I mean, like you could be playing against someone that has like three people on Skype, like just walking them through every play. So, I mean, that's just part of playing Magic Online, though. There's no
Yeah.
way for them to enforce
Yes.
like making that
Uh-huh.
illegal.
Well, also that's how you qualified because here you actually lost in the finals, but it turned out that the guy who beat you was already qualified.
Right.
So,
So he had hit gold at a Grand Prix or
uh-huh.
something just a couple weeks before playing in the PTQ and didn't realize that it meant that he couldn't play in PTQs anymore.
Yeah, but I mean,
So I lost in the finals.
what?
I'm just crushed, right? I lost to him in the last round of Swiss, and then I lost to him in the finals
God.
of the top eight,
Oh no.
and I'm just like crushed. Like I knew that he was
Yeah.
already qualified. He was just like playing to get
I
the
mean, where else are you playing a current gold pro like in a PTQ, you know?
right in the finals of a PTQ. So I was just crushed, and then 2 days later, I got an email from the one of the digital events coordinators, and he was like, "Well, your opponent has been disqualified or found ineligible or something like that, and you get the invite." And I was just like, "Oh my god!"
Uh,
I like almost dropped my phone when I opened that email.
magical.
It
That is
was
magical Christmas land, right?
oh yeah, yeah. That was the definition of magical Christmas land.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, so it was a nine rounds of Swiss, then cut to top eight, Shadows over Innistrad sealed, and the way they have the PTQs set up now is you have to qualify for them. So there is kind of a PPTQ system,
Mm-hmm.
but instead of like per season, it's like every week they run preliminary PTQs.
And what, you need a 5-2 one of them or something?
They're
Wasn't
capped
it?
at 5 rounds, and you have to 4-1 to qualify.
Okay, and then how many people were, say, in the main PTQ who had qualified for that?
In mine, it
Yeah.
got up to 9 rounds, so it
Oh
was
my
like
God.
300-ish people.
Yeah, it's still like what the what the fuck, right?
Yeah.
There's 300 people who won a qualifier, and some of the best players. Like you said, it took you 50 attempts, man. I'll say well done to that because you could play in 50 and not get near the top eight.
Oh yeah. There's been so many online PTQs where I just like wake up at some ungodly hour because I'm in Hawaii, and like log on, lose my first two matches, and then go back to sleep, and the still hasn't come up yet.
How
Like
do you even get motivated? Can I like what is your motivation for that? I mean, it's walk me through this. It's PTQ number 40. It's 49. You know, you haven't you haven't won one. You put number 50 on your schedule. Why are you doing this?
well, I like a lot of it goes back to just like being a kid
Mhm.
and like the fire was lit
Mhm.
to want to play competitive Magic, right? And the JSS did a lot in terms of that. Um, I played Pokemon like semi competitively before I started playing Magic competitively. So like I've just always like this has always been the way that I've wanted to excel, and I just like Magic as a process. I used before I started grinding Moto PTQs, I would get so frustrated because Hawaii would get one PTQ a season,
Yeah.
and it's like you do all your prep, you show up, you have like a bad tournament, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes the cards just don't break your way, and then you're shit out of luck for the rest of the season, and it was so
Yeah.
frustrating to me. However, like the Moto PTQs now mean that no matter what, I get at least how I think it's 12 or 16 PTQs a season.
Yeah, that's a
And
lot.
to me, like, even though I'm waking up for PTQ number 50 or whatever it is, and, haven't won one yet, it's still just like part of the process of
Uh-huh.
you, you're not going to win unless you sign up, right? You're not going
Yeah.
to win unless you're
Go for
practicing.
no, right? I mean,
Yeah.
no
I mean,
no
I've
risk,
skipped
no reward,
PTQs.
right?
I've skipped PTQs in the past because I haven't like been able to put the time in.
Uh-huh.
But if I've been like prepping throughout the week and I'm ready, then I'm gonna clear my schedule to play in this PTQ.
Uh-huh.
Actually, this might make me kind of a shitty son, but like I missed my dad's birthday party. Um, well, it was like a birthday party with one side of the family, so I
Uh-huh.
still got to celebrate with him with the other side of the family. But like, I missed my dad's birthday party because this tournament started at 4 a.m. in the morning,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, okay, I'll play in the tournament. I'll if I get reasonably deep, it'll still finish before I need to go to this
Uh-huh.
party. And then I ended up making the finals, which meant that it 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 literally was like 12 hours. It was
Yeah.
9 rounds of Swiss
Uh,
drafting, and then three rounds of
12 hours
topping
to lose. I mean, what did they give you? Like 9 digital packs or something? Like something insanely low, right? More than
for for what?
for a second. If you actually, if you didn't get bumped up.
Oh
I
no,
mean,
second place gets
uh,
the exact same prize as first place does, except first place gets the invite and the thousand five hundred
oh shit.
dollars for playing in the tournament up at the Pro Tour.
What is the Oh, do you get to do that?
Yeah, so instead of a
Wow. So
travel award for
you
the
not
Moto,
only won a you not only get to play in the Pro Tour, but you get to play on what's that tournament called?
I don't remember the name of it, but
It's a
it's
special.
it's held on Sunday.
Yeah, there's
You're playing on Magic Online against all the other people that won through Moto,
yes,
and
which are some
you
insane grinders that also have insane stories.
yeah, and everyone that shows up to that tournament gets $1,500. I think it's their way of getting around some online gambling laws.
Sure, yeah.
Because like if they gave you travel award for winning these, then some
Uh-huh.
states would have an issue with that.
It's
So
definitely it's not gambling. I don't know if I would say it is gambling, but it's
yeah,
not
it's
gambling.
it's in that gray area.
Yeah.
I think it's on the safer side of the gray area than
Uh-huh.
like
It's not
fantasy
craps.
sports.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not craps.
Um, but the yeah, so you show up to that tournament, you get $1,500 instead of
Uh-huh.
a travel award,
Uh-huh.
and then just from winning the PTQ, first and second place at the PTQ. So first place gets the invite at to that tournament
Uh-huh.
and the Pro Tour. First and second place both got a foil set of shadows,
Uh-huh.
um, which I just snap redeemed.
Yep.
The I got like 100 and something packs,
Mm-hmm.
and then 15 qualifier points.
Mm-hmm.
So like second place gets a ton. Even just top eighting, you get like a ton of packs. You get like 30 to 50-ish packs. I'd have to look up the prize breakdown, but you get
Mm-hmm.
a significant amount of packs for top eighting. So like
Interesting.
yeah.
But still, I mean, there's only one real prize, right?
Yeah, you're obviously playing just for first place,
Yeah.
and everything
One
else is
winner,
just a fee
299
constantly.
losers.
Well, like the other prizes are not irrelevant because it is expensive. If you are
Okay, that's
grinding
fair. Yeah.
PTQs and you are not winning,
Mm-hmm.
like it's $30 to play in a PPTQ on Moto, and if you go
Yeah.
3 and 2, you get some of that back. If you go two
Uh-huh.
and three, you're just out $30, and somebody like me is obviously going to
Mm-hmm.
play the next one after that if they can. So then that's another $30 investment.
Yeah, I mean, if you're broke, you shouldn't be trying to qualify for Magic tournaments. You should be trying to
Yeah,
like
like
work. I mean, my humble opinion. I mean, there's things you can do to cut expenses, but I mean, even if, I mean, hell, man, I said I played in six. I was qualified for I was a silver pro, and I was qualified for Worlds that year, and I just didn't have the money. Like, I just didn't have it,
yeah.
and I could have taken a personal loan, and if I went back in time, I probably would have actually. At the time, I was even working part time in school, but I was like,
Mhm.
man, I'm making like so little. It will take a while. You know, I don't know. I mean, basically, like
It's a
even
huge gamble.
yeah, I was to Japan, so it was gonna be like a maybe a $2,000 trip, and I had like fucking a couple $100 to my name at the time.
Oh
And
yeah,
I mean, I could have made it work, but I mean, the point is like even if you qualify for these things, you need to have money to get there and sometimes to make it happen.
yeah, definitely. My second Pro Tour was Pro Tour San Juan, and I literally came back from that. Let's see, I was 20 at the time, and I came back from that tournament with $0 in my pocket, and I was $1,000 in debt.
Yeah,
So,
I should have done that, man. I'm jealous. Like I could have
I
been a
mean,
gold pro, platinum, played on the gravy
I
trained
did
it.
that. I had one win that entire Pro Tour.
Oh
I just
God.
scrubbed out super hard, but
Uh-huh.
like I was in this house with a bunch of people. I was in a beach house with Conley Woods, Craig Wesco, Kyle
Uh-huh.
Bogleys, Dan Verhey, and it was just a fun time prepping.
Yeah.
Um, and Brett Piazza was in that house too. And then him and I, we just saw Puerto Rico afterwards. I was like,
Yes.
I have no money, but the money that I do have, I'm gonna spend to see Puerto Rico
Uh-huh.
because I got
Yeah.
this free plane ticket here.
I had this Pro Tour Amsterdam where um I mean, this is when I was a broke kid. I'm still uh
Now we're just broke adults.
yeah, um not quite as broke, but not quite as broke as selling my collection and then getting up to $852 in my bank account. And the plane ticket to Amsterdam and back was $853. And borrowed,
Oh,
yes, got a dollar from my friend and drove to the bank and deposited $1. Then went online and bought the plane ticket.
that is great.
And I could only stay, like, I flew to Amsterdam for like 4 days just because I didn't have the
Yeah,
money
you can't pay for a
to
hotel.
stay. Yes.
You can't feed
So
yourself.
the next time I made it to Europe, I was like, I'm staying for months. Fuck you all, right? So
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
like for me, for this trip to Australia, like I'm going for 2 weeks. I have maybe 3 or 4 days blocked out, like more like 3 days blocked out to like I have a family friend up there, gonna see some
Mhm.
sights. But then the rest of the time I'm there, I'm just gonna be playtesting, you know? So it's cool. I'm gonna get to see Australia, but
Uh huh.
I'm not gonna get to see as nearly as much as, would be
Yeah.
ideal.
I mean, they say play the game, see convention centers. So
Yes,
I
see
mean,
the convention centers of the
I
world.
I had this thought about like who should try to grind and who shouldn't, and kind of why I stopped. And I feel like it comes down to travel. I mean, there's the prestige and there's the camaraderie and there's the meeting people, and that's really cool. But I feel like it comes down to, for me, it was just the best, most viable way to travel, and it worked for that. And if
Oh
you're like
yeah.
in Hawaii, you don't have a lot of excuses to leave Hawaii. So there's that. But if you're listening to this and you already like travel, you know, a lot, then you're not going to get as much out of qualifying because
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
I would add on to that as well. Like, if you're listening to this and debating, like, do I want to try to make the run at winning a PTQ? Like, I think it was a Craig Wesco article some years ago. He wrote an article that was titled something to the effect of like what it takes to be a pro Magic player.
mhm.
And like the first thing he writes is like, what other things do you do in your life? Are you prepared to stop doing those things and playing Magic instead?
Uh-huh.
And he was like, "Do you play any other games? Do you have any other hobbies? What do you do with your free time? Like, are you willing to drop doing all of that to play Magic?" Because like I I actually had this conversation
Uh-huh.
yesterday at the pre-release with someone at my local game store, and they were
Uh-huh.
like asking me what other games I play, and Pokemon Go just
Uh-huh.
came out, and I was like, "Oh, that's such a cool game! I imagine all of my students are going to be playing it. There's like I would be playing it too, except that all of my time that I have to play games needs to be put into Magic because
Yeah.
I want to do really well at this Pro Tour.
Yes. And by
So
the
like,
way,
yeah,
I think that being single-mindedly Magic maximizes your chances. I don't think that is actually necessary as we see. I mean, when you're starting perhaps, but like once you're networked in with good teams and you have good skills, you don't need to do that year round. I mean, you see guys like
oh yeah, like
Paul Rietzel, for instance, like I mean, he is a Magic pro. He could be, but I mean, he's got a life and does other things. I mean,
he's in the Hall of Fame, right?
I don't know if he is now, but I mean, he's one of multiple guys who's known for just coming out and smashing the pro tours. You know.
Yeah. And the pro tours are awesome because they reward you for like if you can take 3 weeks off of your life and just prep for this pro tour, it'll pay off. Just like any tournament, right? If you take a week off of your
Uh
life
huh.
and you've been playing a
Uh
little
huh.
bit off and on and then you just like sit down and focus for a week, then you have a reasonable shot at winning some giant tournament.
Yeah, it's possible to have massive edges.
But like
Um.
during that time that you're staying focused, like for me right now, all of my free time is just like my girlfriend is not happy about it.
Uh huh.
Like I have not seen my family nearly as much as I could or should have in the past couple weeks,
Uh
but it's
huh.
just like, oh, I'm not working. I have, a couple hours here. I'm going to spend it playing Magic, right? I
Yeah, I
could be
mean,
playing Hearthstone, I
if you
could be exercising, I could be doing a bunch of stuff, but like
You have the Pro
you
Tour right
choose
now.
to, yeah. But
Um,
I mean, for anyone that's trying to make that shot, like you just have to be prepared to go into that mindset of like,
yes,
I'm playing in my regional PTQ. You know, I'm gonna spend the 2 weeks before it just playtesting.
yes.
Like all of my free time is gonna go into
I
that.
mean,
And if you're not prepared to do that, I mean, like I'm not gonna tell you not to play in a PTQ or try to like make that shot, but if you're not able to do that,
I would tell
I
you
would.
to not even try, honestly. Like, if you're not gonna try to win, don't even bother. If you're gonna give up before, I mean, you heard it from Sean. It took him 50 tries. It took me maybe
It would not be surprising
it,
if it was 50.
it took
Like
me,
it was a
yeah,
lot.
it took me at least 20 PTQs in person, maybe 30. And if you're not prepared to grind, and I mean, then don't even try. I mean, you have better things to do with your life, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
but if you're gonna do it, use every available resource. I first GP I top aided. I spent 2 hours a night for over a month preparing. It's like,
That was the M14
oh, that was
one.
living end. I
Oh,
actually
okay, yeah.
didn't prepare for the second GP top eight, and that's kind of a different story.
Okay.
Um, that was information edge for the second one. We just well, everyone else was getting
That
in
better.
reps. I just like did one did one event with LSV and Ben Stark, and just it's like
Sure.
tell me everything you know. Okay, this is the plan, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And that was a great format. Like
oh, that
I
was
loved that limited format. That
that
was
was
actually
way
my
too easy.
first. That format was my first. It was my second PTQ top eight on Moto,
Uh
and it was M14, right? Or
huh.
M,
Yes,
whichever one had opportunity in it, and it was
yeah.
just insanely
It
good.
was just you were just way too advantaged for playing 18 lands and going second.
Yeah.
And no one was doing that. I even did it in draft, and it just felt way too easy. Like because I got to do what I wanted to do. I didn't. 15. Imagine if you like went first 15 straight rounds, never a single game, right?
Hmm.
Um, well, that's what happens when it's correct to go second. Is
Oh yeah,
it's
it's a
just
huge
it's
payoff.
yeah. I mean, and that was Elliot's strategy as well. It's like how do two brothers top eight a Grand Prix together, a
Yeah.
sealed Grand Prix. Well, maybe actually sealed isn't that luck necessarily. If you there's I mean there's ways to get
There's an undeniable amount of luck in sealed,
oh
but it's not the
certainly
only factor.
yeah I mean and that was a unique format because sometimes like you actually do want 17 lands into play first and then you're just in the scrum with everyone else.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would wait and pick. Like, my thing is like, I can't necessarily take 50 shots. I've only played in about 10 Grand Prix, a dozen maybe,
Yeah.
and so I would just. My thing is just pick one that I think I have a chance at, and prepare for a really long time. And
Hmm.
I mean, I could have, with that energy, gone to two or three without really preparing that much. By the
Yeah,
way, I could.
I
Mhm.
think that's a legitimate mindset for anyone not living on an island.
Yeah, well, I mean, also, Seattle is definitely better than Hawaii, but it's still not the Midwest where you have options. It
Tournaments
was like,
everywhere.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's three now, but it was pretty much, um, I mean, for a long time it was one total Grand Prix a year, which is good.
That's more than Hawaii
I know,
gets.
yeah, it's not bad, but it's also like you have one shot every year, so you should
Hmm.
probably prepare. Um,
Yeah. I mean, I much prefer having the option to like grind every week. And not saying that I take advantage of it every week, but just like, I'm going to do my best, even if that best doesn't make me top eight or it doesn't win the tournament. I know that there's another tournament coming up, right? So the
uh-huh.
prep that I put into it, I have the option later of putting that prep to use.
Yes.
So I like that a lot better than like hanging all my hopes on one big tournament because
Uh-huh.
I mean the cards don't break your way
Yeah,
sometimes.
I mean,
It's just
I've flown to places and then just I play poorly and
yeah.
none of my preparation matters or I just get a super bad beat and it's like it makes you question life decisions. It's like
Oh yeah.
I spent like $1,000 on this trip and
When I was 19 I prepped for our modern PTQ here for like over a month. I felt so prepared. Lost in the top eight to some guy cabal therapying me for three cards in the dark.
Bullshit. Yeah.
Um, and I was just so pissed off after that. I bought a $600 plane ticket to go to California to play in a PTQ. I
Uh-huh.
had a friend that was going, right? I didn't need to spend money
Uh-huh.
on a hotel, and I flew down to that PTQ, played the same deck, and like didn't even get close to top eighting. But that was a really important tournament for me in terms of like the way that I think about Magic because you know as I've been saying, it's important to me to like be able to have your work pay off more than once.
Yep.
But also, I played against Patrick Sullivan in like round one or two,
Mm-hmm.
and he just crushed me with this burn deck.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like I was telling him I was from Hawaii, and we were talking afterwards, and he was like, "Really, like the people that play in these PTQs, and it was a SoCal PTQ, so it was
Mm-hmm.
like many hundreds of people." And he was like, "Really, the people that play in these PTQs, there's maybe, you know, 50 of them, maybe 25 of them that are like the same people that are going to do well, right?"
Yes. I
So
mean,
like
yeah,
if you like he was like if you're going to travel to these PTQs, you need to make sure that you're going to be one of those 25 people or
definitely.
like able to beat them. And like thinking about it in that way like made giant tournaments a whole lot less daunting to me.
The way that I do this, and it still works, is the test to me is you're at a PTQ or you're at a GP, and you ask people, hey, what Pro Tour, where's the Pro Tour that this qualifies for? If they
Yeah.
don't know, you can just rule them out as being competitive. They will not win. They didn't prepare to win. They
Yeah.
haven't they haven't thought about going to that Pro Tour. They don't even know that it exists. So I don't know at PTQs. A lot of the time people don't know at PTQs too, but I definitely notice at Grand Prix, only one, maybe 1 out of 10 people might know, and it's like
Yeah.
suddenly the field shrinks in size, and it starts to look somewhat realistic or possible at least.
Yeah. Well, I like okay, this is a very connected idea, but it's going in a little different direction.
Uh huh.
And when they first moved over to the regional PTQ system, like the PPTQ and regional PTQ system, they
Mhm.
did not have the Magic Online option. Like you can't play in a regional qualifier online.
Uh huh.
They added that this
Oh yeah,
past
that
year.
was insanely bad. It's like, yeah.
But like for people like me, like the Hawaii competitive scene just died that
Oh
year
yeah.
because like you would go to a PPTQ, you would ask that question, and people are like, "I know, but I just don't care." We had
Mhm.
people like in the finals, neither of them wanted to win because it meant that they couldn't play in any more PPTQs for the season.
And
Like
they would have to go to an RPTQ where?
closest is California, which is
Yeah, it's
like a
like
six or seven hundred dollar plane
I'm
ticket.
not going to fly for an RPTQ. Sorry, right?
Right. So like the competitive level
Oh, that sucks.
of people in Hawaii just dropped that
That's
year.
sad.
It's making a rebound now that they changed it so that you can play on Moto.
Uh huh.
But like that year was very depressing.
Yeah.
And I mean even me, like I was like I qualifying for the Pro Tour is a big priority in my life. I will not fly to a regional PTQ if I qualified for one because like it's just not reasonable for me, and that's it. I was already used to grinding on moto, so I was like, if I really wanted to qualify for the Pro Tour, I would just play the
Mhm.
moto circuit instead. And
So
as you said, that's the hardest circuit, but
yeah.
it makes more sense than trying to invest $600 in a one-time shot at a qualification.
So before we close the loop on the MTG PTQ thing, what do you feel is like? How is the play experience different? What's the big
Um,
difference in play experience?
to me, like I just love playing from home.
Mhm.
Like,
You can
sure, there's
eat
something to
between
be said.
rounds.
Yeah, like
Wear
I
in your
can take a
pajamas.
nap. I can take a nap in
Oh
between
yeah.
rounds. I can make coffee whenever I want. My
Mhm.
dog is here. My
Yeah.
girlfriend is at home
Uh huh.
sometimes. Um, so I prefer that.
Mhm.
Um, but also like my close friends that I grew up playing Magic with that like I trust and talk about the format and stuff with. they wouldn't come to a real life tournament anyway. So like
Uh-huh.
being able to play online and I'm just like shooting them updates all the time.
Uh-huh.
Um, I like that a lot. One of my buddies for this tournament, one of my buddies is on the East Coast, and he was just like on Skype with me for almost every round of the PTQ,
Mm-hmm.
and like that. I enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
I yeah. I
Yeah.
some people don't like the interface, and it does take a while to get used to the Moto interface, especially like if you've never played Moto before, but you're familiar with competitive Magic. Lots of
Uh-huh.
people get frustrated if they just like jump into a high level tournament right away, and they're like, oh, I got screwed over by the interface, and it's like, well,
Uh-huh.
that happens sometimes, so I
Let
can
me ask
understand.
you this.
Yeah.
Speaking of interface, how do you set your stops? What do you do?
Um, let's see. I have one on my opponent's draw step
Uh-huh.
just from all the years of playing with Vendilion Click. And I've just gotten used to having it there. I have a stop on my opponent's upkeep, and then declare attackers,
Interesting.
combat damage, and then end step.
Personally,
Yeah.
I use every stop. I learned that from Jesse Hampton that he used every stop, and then I started trying it out, and I ended up really liking it because you can do a lot with F6, F3, and F2 in terms of
Right.
skipping through stuff, and you never have to go back and readjust. So I mean that I realize that's unusual, but it's things to think about. Um,
Yeah, I've just been playing for so long in this way
mhm.
that
Yeah.
training myself to get used to different stops is because like I've had times where I jump on a public computer or whatever and I'm playing Moto and all the stops are different and it
Oh
screws me
yeah.
up, you know.
Yes.
So I like my stops are probably not ideal,
There's
but
no correct
they're
way.
just yeah. And I mean sometimes when I'm playing Moto, I'm just not paying full attention to it,
Mhm.
and having a stop at everything is just irritating when, I'm
Sure,
splitting
I
my attention.
understand. Do you have any tricks on MTGO you run? There's like the tap untap, or there's you can float mana sneakily and stuff like that. Do you have any plays
Uh,
like that come up, or do you go to any do you run any stuff like that? Because there's plenty of bluffs you can do online, and they're kind of totally
sure.
different than the type of stuff you do in person.
I don't think that I actively try to bluff online in any way that I wouldn't do in person. Like besides holding cards in hand
Uh,
or like leaving mana up and representing it and stuff.
mm,
No, I don't have any online specific, you know, tricks like that I do.
mm-hmm.
But I Yeah. The oh, the F8 key, the one
Uh-huh.
that says if you don't have priority, then you just pass.
Yeah.
Or if you get priority and there's nothing you can do, then you just pass.
Uh-huh.
I hate that key.
Oh, I don't touch it.
Yeah, like I don't do any tricky things to try to
Uh-huh.
bluff, but you need to give your opponent that split second to make them think that you want priority here.
Well, on the other hand, I'll use a fake F6 sometimes, where I F6 skips through everything, and then
They go to attackers and then you undo
and then
it.
you hit F yeah you F6 and then you put your key on F3 and you wait for them to tap mana or do something and then you hit F3 and it's like so yeah they
That's a tricksy one.
yeah
I haven't ever done that, but
there's another one and this came up in casual but you can't really do this in paper but you can tap like a bunch of mana and leave two lands up and play a big X spell like a Genesis Wave for 6 and you have two lands up and when
mhm.
they go to mana leak it you have one green in your mana pool. Um,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
I've
you have
seen.
three mana. You can't really do that in person. It's like you have to announce your mana. But
Right.
I mean, there's also things you can do. I mean, there's I don't know if you ever do this, but just like when you have nothing to do, you just take forever on a turn, or like and tap and untap your lands. Like,
Oh yeah, like it's really hard to tell if somebody is like in the tank or if they just like had to step away from their computer for a
yes,
second.
yeah,
Um, so that I mean, like sometimes I have to step away from my computer. I try not to when I'm in big
uh huh,
tournaments, but sometimes I do, and it's just really hard for your opponent to know like, do they have a big decision here or like did they just go AFK? Like,
uh huh.
so yeah, the modal play experience is different enough that you should get used to it
Uh-huh.
if somebody wanted to get into it. Um,
Yeah. So I feel like that's a lot of information. We told
yeah.
people kind of what it's like and what to expect and what to put in. Um, well, let's wrap up with like, what do you get out of it? What is it? I mean, what's it like to travel to these things, travel the world and play and meet people?
Well, besides like never being able to save money ever, um, like it's just a ton of fun. Like I just enjoy playing Magic, but if I don't have like a goal to work towards, then I don't really enjoy playing Magic.
Mhm.
Um, there's other things I'd rather do with my time. So like having a huge goal like playing in the Pro Tour is it's just like it invigorates everything that I'm doing for the month leading up to it or whatever. Um,
Uh-huh. It's fun. It's
so
fun to look
so
forward to things and like
yeah,
see
it's
people.
just the process of like, oh, I'm so much more invested in spoiler season because I
Yeah.
have to like, build all these new decks. I have to like network a bunch with the local community or with anybody online that I'm going to be prepping with, right?
Mhm.
Like, just going through the steps of like making sure that you're going to do the best that you possibly can.
Mhm.
I just enjoy that process, but I don't
Mhm.
enjoy it unless I have a goal to work towards. So
Yeah. It's really fun to have. I mean, the second GP top 8, um, believe it was in October or September, and then the Pro Tour wasn't until like the next February. So it
hmm
was like October, November, December. It was like 5 months to look forward to. And I mean, one of the things you'll get is just anticipation. Adds a lot of excitement to life.
oh yeah, I like even before spoiler season starts, it's like, well, like any amount of prep that I can put into this format, like some of it is going to be relevant even when the new set rotates in.
Yeah. Or I mean,
So
I've even done Pro Tour prep, like before a rotation, and I just like got it totally wrong, and all that
yeah,
time's wasted. But it's like there was a chance that time would have been really productive. Or I mean, it lets you rule something out regardless.
yeah. Well, a good example of that is I qualified for a Pro Tour Journey into Nyx, which
Uh-huh.
was Theros block constructed, and I qualified like in January, and the Pro Tour was in May.
Uh-huh.
So like for the first 2 months of being qualified, I was just like grinding block constructed with only two sets. And if you know anything about block constructed with two sets, it's significantly different from block constructed with three sets.
Mhm.
Um, so there were like one and a half decks from the metagame before the journey came out that were relevant,
Uh-huh.
and then the rest of the testing was just like a wash.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember one Pro Tour, extended. This was before Zendikar. I did all this prep, assuming there were going to be no fetch lands and shock lands, and then they print. Yeah, Zendikar comes out and they print the enemy shock fetch, and it's
Yeah.
like that changes everything.
hmm
Yeah. Also, Sean is in the mastermind. Some of you guys who listen and watch these
Yes.
videos know about that. What do you think about that? How have you felt
It's
about it?
interesting. Like the way that you have it structured, where you have meetings regularly during the week. Since I'm on a different time zone from
Uh-huh.
everybody, I don't get as much out of those because I just can't make them the majority of
Uh-huh.
the time. But I think that the way that you have it structured is very good for people that the audience that you're trying to
Mhm.
target, right? Like
Yeah.
the guy that's trying to win their first PPTQ, right? Or
Mhm.
they just want a PPTQ and they're trying to get to a RPTQ or they
Uh-huh.
have a GP to prep for. Like
Yeah.
that's exactly like you're basically giving them the structure and the guidance through the process that they need.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, even though I haven't gotten too much out
Mhm.
of it, I've definitely gotten something out of it, and I
Uh-huh. Hey
appreciate it.
man, you put in and that's helpful. You
Yeah,
know,
well,
people.
I think that being a part of the process of like seeing all of these people like set their goals and working towards
Mhm.
it, it's just very encouraging.
Yes. And I believe in it a lot, like just because, man, if you can cut it from 50 to anything from 50 attempts to 30 attempts, like it's so worth it. So
Oh yeah.
I feel like man, if you're gonna compete, put everything into it. Otherwise, don't
For
bother.
sure.
I mean,
I
that's
mean,
just my attitude, but
I feel really lucky because like two of my best friends from high school, they are just really good at Magic, and
mhm,
they're not as they're not trying to qualify for the Pro Tour like I am, but they'll like play and give me insights and stuff, and they'll let me bounce deck ideas off of them and everything.
mhm,
So like I feel like I have a good supportive people to help me out if I need to prepare for something. But I mean like if somebody just picked up Magic and they're like, "Hey, I want to go to the Pro Tour," or they just don't have a close group of friends that are good or going to push them to get better, then having an online community do it is the next
uh-huh.
best thing.
I think both. I mean, I don't want to get too into it, but if I mean, um, I didn't always have the best groups for Pro Tours, and even something like this would have been really nice back then.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
I mean like my prep for this pro tour, I have the guys that I'm staying with. I'm talking with them, prepping.
mhm,
Um, I have like my local friends that don't really play Magic that often, but just have a deep understanding of the game.
mhm,
And then I've just been talking a lot with the local community here and
mhm,
just being like, "What do you guys think? What decks are going to be
mhm.
good?" Um, so you don't want ever just one way, and of course the mastermind, right?
Yeah,
Keeping and hearing just people talking about the format and sharing their ideas.
yeah,
The more avenues you have of that, the better. Sometimes it can get you overloaded, but
uh-huh.
like for me, I enjoy being able to engage with different people in different settings about
Yes.
like, oh, what do you think about standard?
And by the way, I'll tell you what I think about standard, but not before we sign off because I want
Yeah,
to
I,
keep this.
I'm
I want
I'm
to keep.
very curious. I haven't been able to make any calls since
Uh-huh.
spoiler came
I
out,
want to
so
keep this a little bit secret until things happen.
yeah, me too. I appreciate that.
So yeah, thanks so much, Sean.
Yeah,
If
I
anyone,
hope this was helpful.
I'm sure it will be very helpful to at least one person, and hopefully a lot more.
Sweet.
If anyone wants to reach Sean to ask any questions, how would they do that?
I am on Facebook. I don't accept friend requests from people that I don't know in real life
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook, but like if somebody messages me on Facebook with a good, thoughtful question, I'll usually, um, try to get to it if I can.
Uh-huh.
Other than that, I don't know. I'm not used to being a terribly public figure.
Probably
So
for the best, man.
yeah, I mean like yeah, if someone really wants to
Hmm.
contact me, Facebook Messenger is probably the best. Um, but maybe I'll need to start thinking about making myself more publicly
Uh-huh.
accessible. I don't know.
Twitter is good for that if you wanted to get it set up.
I have a Twitter account. I have never made a tweet.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay, there you go.
I think I follow like two people.
All right.
So but that'll be something to look into if I mean I've never had a
Yeah, when you
reason to
top 8 this Pro Tour, man, everyone's gonna try to be asking you all sorts of questions.
I guess. I mean, I might have to pull a Travis and just make a second Facebook account, right?
Yeah, well,
If,
it's not an account, it's a page. It's a different thing.
oh, okay.
Yeah, and I mean that way anyone can message you, and you can share
Yeah.
tech and stuff like that. But,
Do
yeah,
you have to like approve people to like the page, or they just
no,
like it and
they
they're
can just
following?
like it if they want.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
for now, like, I'm on Facebook. If you send me a friend request and
Uh-huh.
I don't know you, please don't get offended. But if you have a good, thoughtful question,
Uh-huh.
um, I like talking to people. I don't always have time to talk to people,
Mhm.
but if I do and I like the question, you know, I'll engage.
Uh-huh. All right, Sean, thank you so much.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
everybody leave a comment, give a thumbs up for this, and see a few of you in the mastermind. Take care. Take
Yeah,
action.
highly recommend the mastermind.
Yep.